I mean, it's intense. It's intense, and it's looking and see that there's no longer a coincidence for people to still be looking and thinking that it's just a coincidence. There's nothing going on. Be this. I mean, like seriously, look around. Open your newspaper, talk to people. Start keeping yourself in an echo chamber. Like actually do some research, and you will see that there is an agenda. I mean, before probably when the colonizers came, it was for our labor, and now it's coming for our lands, and we really gotta really speak up against it. Really gotta speak up against it.
Wow, this is really I am still there because I think about Barbados, and I think about what would have happened to, and how far they would have gone had it not been for the people of Barbados. Do you understand that the
Yep.
people, because the people were standing up before Mr. Thorne came on the
Hmm.
scene, and we should be grateful, guys, that we have a lawyer inside the lower house in the parliament. And although the bills, I mean, we've been able to stop a lot of these bills, but can't we see everything is in train already, for this to be happening in this country? We're not going to recognize Barbados when they're finished. In fact, the prime minister says that when they're finished with Bridgetown, we will not be able to recognize it. And she said, I saw it in the newspaper, she said, come and take a picture. She says, take a picture of Bridgetown. And I want to ask Barbadians tonight, Zico, if they're happy with that. They're happy with that somebody, she is deciding to make Barbados in her image and her likeness because she has made herself God.
And that's it. And that exactly is what it is. Nobody's against development, nobody's against, but it cannot be dependency, and that's what we're saying, dependency. And we're changing Barbados, and we're changing Barbados not for the betterment of the people, but for the betterment of to fulfill certain people first. And I don't think that's the way we should be going. And if, as I say again, I cannot believe that Bajans are still blind. I mean, seriously, is either you have to force yourself not to pay attention. It's no longer a coincidence. Before, probably you could say, you know what, that's just probably a coincidence. But you could look around. You could look around and realize that no, this does not make any sense. And it hurts. I mean, it really and truly hurts. And then to even continue to hear, our other developing neighbors say the same thing is going on in their country as well. So you know for sure that there's a bigger global agenda at play. So we can't continue to ignore it anymore. We can't continue to turn a blind eye and say, you know what, yeah, she speak good. She knows she's go there. She got the country penny map. Come on. You really got to do it. And if you don't speak now, Barbie, this will change and it will be too late. It will be too late. Your voices, it ain't gonna make sense then. But you can wait. Got your man, let's wait and see what happening. Wait and see what. But you can wait on. The actions must be taken now. You can't wait for certain things then to be implemented. You can't wait for our lands and our history just to be wiped off the map and then redevelop into something else that we have no say in. Come on, man. Come on. I just say it again, not just to pay bills, man. Not just to pay bills.
Hmm. When you say not just to pay bills, what are you hinting at there? You sound like something I hear my husband talks about all the time. Can you? We want to hear more of that. Go ahead,
Sure,
Zico.
sure. All right. When Mia had one and she came in, she said there was no money in the treasury and what's not, and she was looking for investment and development within Barbados. And I was okay for that. I thought that yeah, definitely I think Barbados can use with some more investors and what's not. But then it came at a cost. When it came at a cost that we start losing our heritage sites and we start using what made Barbados Barbados. And it was just it became kind of vision. We just focused on the dollar. It was just focused on the cent and not the people. And then
Mm-hmm.
what happened was it was no longer empowerment. It was no longer because, as I said before, development is about the empowerment of the people. And especially when you're running a country, it has to be about the empowerment of the people, not the dependency. So when we're looking at it now, we realize that, what years have passed and it wasn't that the people themselves was being empowered. It was those who have was getting richer and those who did not have was feeling it. Then we start seeing concessions given to those who had. And then we start seeing people was being punished for the ones who did not. And then we realize that cool, it's not even an even playing field. So what is this going on? And then I realized that certain things was then being implemented just for the sense of the dollar, just for the sense of paying bills, just for paying back debts, going taking out loans, and is not at the benefit of the everyday BHG, it's not at the benefit of the everyday citizen. So then what is it for? Really and truly, what is it for? Why put your country in debt? When we still got people still dealing with the same issues. People can't get proper water. You can't get in hospital and get proper beds. You can't get proper service. I mean, like, seriously. So what are we putting ourselves in debt for? That our children will have to pay for the rest of their lives. Come on, we overtaxed right now. What are you going to continue to do overtax right now? How are we empowering our people? We're not doing it. And that is when it becomes very, very sad. And that's when it comes to a part where you're going to look at it and say, you know what the direction that we're taking, it can't just be for bills, because it's not empowering the people. It's empowering the people who does not live here, who's going to take the same money, take it, then leave, regardless in the next 5 or 10 years, when we start looking around and say, what is it that we do own? And Barbados start to sink, and people decide, you know what, we got money, let me just hit shit, and go on what we business. What is this going to happen? I mean, like, seriously, what is going to happen? When you look at the everyday entrepreneur, what has happened within the last 8 years that they could say that the everyday entrepreneur had some level of benefit? That the government, they say, you know what, this is how we can help y'all. This is what we can do. We can lessen the tax for this. We can give y'all some concessions depending upon this. So nothing at all. Not one. We heard about additional taxes. We heard about penalties. We heard about, all right, this is what we can do. And it was not for the benefit of the poor man. And you cannot run a country like that. As I said, if you're having a business, sure. If you want to have a business, it's about making sure that when investors come, that you can make money for yourself and for the business itself. But when you're running a country, it have to be for the betterment of the people. And it's not right now for the betterment of the people. And that's what hurted me the most. And then you continue to put the country in ridiculous debt. I mean, ridiculous debt. And I cannot see where it's going. I cannot see where it's going. And it's not going towards the people. And then people have to say, well, enough is enough. It can no longer be pretty taught. It can be, you know what, you should look at me, boy. That was a wonderful speech. Sure, it was a wonderful speech. Kudos to you. Now, what have changed for us? What about we bread and butter? I ain't saying that at all. She's going out there being a globalist, petitioning for problems globally. And you got you people at home crying with their hands out. Like, what message are you sending? And then not only that, and then you ignoring it, and then you say, you know what? Cool, no problem. People come to Barbados, we have jobs and what's not for y'all. And when we look around, we realizing people on contracts, people working 2 or 3 days. Sometimes people working 1 week and then not the next week. You know, people asking for help, people asking for assistance, and they cannot get it. And then you telling them, you could see ministers telling people, you know what, we'll go elsewhere. If you can't find a job here, go elsewhere. For what? To work for $2.50 US? So what's the benefit for you? What's the benefit for your people? And they don't say, well, oh, it's not a pie. It can share. It's not. It's come on, be realistic, man. And that and my biggest disposition, especially with the administration right now, is that they do not relate to the everyday man. They do not relate to the everyday man. They're so far disconnected. Investment is good, but it's no turning into dependency upon foreign investors who eventually, when they get the money, they can take what they have and go elsewhere. And then what's left for us? What we have to negotiate with? What power will we have? What will we own? You're looking at Dubai. Dubai was a desert. You can't compare Dubai to Barbados, which was rich in its history. You can't compare the two. You cannot compare the two. Barbados is special because of what? Its people, its beaches, the environment that we have. But when you start to sell certain things, destroy the beaches, and then you want to talk about global warming, you want to talk about all these different things, but you're destroying Barbados like this as well. So it can't be so I'd rather people be straight and say this is what we want to do. Right now, we look at the change the face of Barbados and try to make it more modernized. Be real and be straight with people. And right now, we're looking to get as much foreign investors into Barbados because I be straight, be real with it. But when you insulting the everyday man and telling them about this and that, and then every single day we can see, probably next week we can hear about some other, I don't know what other tax or what other thing they're gonna roll out, which can take the average entrepreneurship. I mean, the average entrepreneur to I have no idea when that's gonna roll out, but I have seen nothing so far to help the everyday man, and that's my problem. And that's the problem that I have with the rich. Sure, the haves have it, the have nots, bustle up, and that's what's hurting me more.
Yeah. Well, boy, I just again just letting it rip. Just bearing it out. And I think, this becomes a place, Barbados, this becomes a place where we come, whether you type it out, you can call in, you can just be able to just let it all out. Let it all out. And that's what is happening here tonight. If we become that space, if we are to even just look at the situation that we've just encountered here in Barbados with Uber, and I know a lot of Barbadians, Zico, they are thinking that, well, I'm going to be able to get a break here with Uber. I'm going to be able to get cheaper prices. All right. But what they're not thinking about, what is going to happen to the taxi operators. We're not trying to find a way to say, how can we work with the taxi operators, okay, so that their costs can be lowered and therefore they are able to charge, a reasonable rate that everybody can afford, or to make sure that we put regulations in place to hold the taxi drivers accountable to the rate that is set, because there is a rate that is set, both by the taxi drivers and the government. The government didn't look at that. The government didn't look at that. What the government did instead, without discussing it with the taxi operators, to say, can you coexist with this? Is this gonna work? No, no, no. They went ahead, and we only heard, I think I heard on Sunday. I think you can remind me if it is Sunday, Zico, that we heard about Uber. And the
Yep.
taxi men are saying that's about the time they heard. And then it was being discussed all over on Monday, and they said it's by Wednesday. I'm like, Wednesday? How could it happen by Wednesday? And then by Wednesday, we're hearing now that there are 400 taxi operators that are signed up to Uber. When did that happen? So all of this was being planned, and the people were in the dark about it, and they knew they could not go to the taxi operators because it would have been an uproar, as it has been in Germany and in other countries, in Canada, even in Trinidad. They started and they had to leave, and then they came back on the terms of the Trinidadians. Then they came back to Trinidad. Same thing with Jamaica. So I am saying, I'm hearing you, and I'm thinking about that, this particular thing that has happened with the taxi operators, and saddened to see how Barbadians who believe that they're going to be able to save a few dollars cannot look at the principle of it, cannot look at the fact that basically what is happening is that our small business owners are being trampled. Entrepreneurship for small business entities, it's like it's nothing. They are destroying it
Yep.
in
And,
this country.
and it goes back to what I'm saying. So desensitized from the everyday man, they do not care. So when you have the conversation, he's rolling, y'all follow, and that's the mindset, and that's what hurt me when it first was rolled out. I can be honest, I was conflicted. Anybody know this, and it was like, you know what? Let the market decide. Uber doing the thing, taxi man doing the thing. Was it cheaper option? Eventually would win. That was my mindset in the beginning. You understand? I can be very honest. I can say, well, yeah, that was my mindset. And I was like, yeah, because sometimes I think that the prices of the taxis can be very, ridiculous. And then I also started to pay a little bit more attention. I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, the prices was really and truly was structured by the government. You
and the
know, and the,
taxi and the taxi
and the
operators.
taxi exactly. So I can't fault them themselves and say, well, although I do some people really truly this is just ridiculous. But then I had to then say, well, and then I started to look at it a little more, and it was then, but this is a monopoly. When you started to bring Uber in, you basically took hundreds of entrepreneurs, hundreds of entrepreneurs off the market to work for somebody, but you monopolizing it. And then it was saying, well, that's really problem that comes in. Because then now, who's in charge? is going to get the majority of the money, you know. And then I started to be like, you know what, I gotta look at this a little different. Rather than just looking at like, oh well, whoever got the best prices, the market shall win, and that's what it's gonna be, and so forth, and what's not. But then this is people livelihood. People been doing this here for years. How
Yeah.
can you not have a conversation with people and say, well, yeah, we're looking to implement, Uber into Barbados. We don't know how we can cooperate. Both y'all, we all can coexist, and we make this work. The conversation was not how you rolled out, just how you rolled out so many things before talking to the people or consulting people, and then thinking that it's just going to be okay. And I've seen she target every single sector where it's linked to tourism, whether from the Airbnbs to the rental cars, no, to the taxis. I mean, every single sector which is basically linked to tourism, she probably basically had a hand in. And I was like, this is not right, and it will cause fear for certain people who will say, well, yeah, I own 4, 5, 6 taxis. What is supposed to do now? You know, what you doing to me? I got to answer to somebody else. I can't get to understand, and that's where you got the problem, the monopolizing of the industry.
Yeah. That's the thing. Zico, that I'm glad you said that you came to that understanding, and that is what we need, how we need Barbadians to be. I mean, it's the same thing when we had the Airbnb operators, the small rental, short-term rental operators. There were people who didn't care about that because it didn't have anything to do with them. There are people who don't care about what's happening in Nevis because that have nothing to do with me, And as you listen, you realize, hold a minute, there's a level of injustice that's happening here, and if we don't stop and call it out,
Yep.
we are held accountable for that, when we see wrong and we don't call up the wrong. And it will just be a matter of time that it's that we, the shoes we're gonna wear those shoes,
Yeah.
with the way the world is going.
And at first, I was kind of like, that's their fault. I whatever happened to them, I mean, we really taxed me, Wisconsin. I was like, that's when the battle, when they got to fight it. Because I didn't see y'all speaking out when it came to, the Airbnbs and the hired cars and what's not. But the reason why I'm glad that it's happening, because I want to bring people to awareness. I want people to understand, what, this is a unity thing. And eventually it's going to impact or affect each and every single one of us. We can no longer turn the blame and say, well, yeah, man, that's the problem, he got to deal with her. That's the problem, she got to deal with her. That's not my sector, that's not my industry. Really and truly, it's touching each and every single one of us, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Slowly but
And
surely.
I'm gonna join in with you.
Yep. And that's it. Anybody can have a preference. We're not speaking. Yeah, sure, you can like me, you can like whoever it is. Like, there's certain qualities that like where me is concerned. But when it comes to speaking for your people and speaking towards issues, you have to speak against it. And I like it. Speak out. Don't just because you have an affiliation, or you've been caught endorsing her for whatever the reason. You can't speak against the issue. If somebody's wrong, it's wrong. I like that approach. You find common ground. If there's an issue and you're a Barbadian first, or you represent Barbados, sure, speak up against the issue, regardless of
Yes.
whatever party you align with.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All,
Go ahead. Tell me about these Rangate people right there now. The Rangate.
I can't understand this Rangate people coming here to take with the Rangate people money all the time. So bringing people, trying to get people out to Rangate work, and it's so Rangate tired. I don't understand.
Oh my Lord of mercy! I think it's more. It seems more like an
Yeah,
adjective or
adjective. Yeah, I believe so too.
or
Yeah,
something like that.
okay, I'm taking the verbs right now. Yeah,
Yeah. No. 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 I listen. Listen, folks. We're laughing, but no, they need to rank it over here.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I definitely agree.
I th-
Regardless if it is deposits either from clear iron or magnesium or just busted old deteriorated rusty pipes, the reality of it is that it needs to be flushed in order for the water to be cleared again. I believe, this is what I believe. My opinion is that I don't believe they want to observe the cost that it will take to flush that much water down the pipe. So drink the water, eventually you can get clear when they get clear. I believe that that's what it is. And to tell the people that They tell the people it's okay to drink the water, y'all, to encourage y'all to continue to use the water because eventually it's going to get clear. The reason why they can't come and tell y'all, well, is X, Y, Z, or it, because the problem is rectified. But the reality of it is that the pipes need to be flushed, regardless if it was a pipe that was repaired or is a pipe that needs to be repaired. At the end of the day, it will need to be flushed. But I don't think that they want to observe the cost, or that the fact that if they do, it will affect the storage of the amount of water that they do have. So, worst case scenario, allow the people to continue to use the water, and then eventually it should be cleared in a matter of a couple of months.
It will clear.
In a couple of months, and that is the best way, because really and truly to tell y'all that, all right, we can try to flush it and then we gotta deal with the cost that it will. No, deal with it, and then hopefully in the next couple of months it is resolved. I believe that that's what it is, because it does not matter if it is, as I say once again, it does not matter if it is rust, clear, magnesium, coming off the limbs. It does not matter. At the end of the day, the problem is that you still need to flush the pipes. But I don't believe they want to observe. I tell you, I don't believe they want to deal with the cost of it. And the rectification of saying, well, cheese on the amount of water that we will have to flush to clear these pipes. I don't want to take that loss. Allow the people to continue to use it, because we've rectified the problem. But we are looking to take that cost. So they got to deal with it and pay the bills.
Before we go,
Yes, to everybody, the loyal opposition, to everybody who have a grievance, everybody that have something that we want change. I'm telling you, come out. If it felt one, it felt all. We can no longer turn a blind eye. We can no longer say, well, it does not affect me, so there's no need for me to go up there and march. Trust me, you're going to want it for you when it eventually affects you. So let me come out, let me march, let me keep some noise, let me bring the issues, whether it's the taxi man, whether it's the citizen and immigration act. Don't care what it is. If it's something that you believe that you want to see change, a minister came out and said, we just listen to the people. So if they listen to the people, let me keep some noise. Let them listen to the noise. So people come out in with the numbers and let them listen to the noise, so they will understand that change is a must. And we will no longer sit down. We will no longer be silent. So come people and let them listen.